Turner Classic Movies.
On the next TCM guest programmer, the mastermind behind The Exorcist and The French Connection, William Friedkin joins Robert Osborne to discuss the classics that inspired his impressive body of work.
Bullitt was, for me, a high watermark of what had to be done to do a chase scene in those days. I later did The French Connection. I thought, I've got to top Bullitt, but I can't do the same thing, because that's as good as that could be. All of these films that you've run this evening influenced me tremendously.
Nothing like a little disaster for sorting things out.
But you could see nothing of them in my work. I could never approximate their genius, but they were extremely inspirational.
Brother, I gotta hand it to you. You can certainly think up a good story when you need one.
Coming up next, the TCM guest programmer.
It turns out very surprisingly.
Only on Turner Classic Movies.
Hi, I'm Robert Osborne, and welcome to another edition of our monthly guest programmer series. This month, we're very pleased to have joining us the man responsible for such films as The Exorcist, Sorcerer, and the film for which he won the Oscar as the Best Director of 1971, The French Connection, with many other successes since then. As anyone who loves film can tell you, that man is William Friedkin. Welcome, William.
Thank you, Robert.
Welcome, William. That doesn't sound right. Can I call you Billy?
Please.
I know your friends do. We're not friends yet.
No, but I know the show
verge.
very well, and it's a pleasure to be here.
Great. Good to have you here. The first film that Billy selected for us is Bullitt from 1968, directed by Peter Yates, with Steve McQueen in one of his most iconic roles, certainly, as San Francisco cop Frank Bullitt. Why this film, out of all the films you could have picked?
I think it's probably the best cop film I've ever seen. And I think Steve McQueen's portrayal as a San Francisco detective in the 60s was spot on. The other performances are great, too. I like it because it's so naturalistically done and because the characters are so finely drawn with just basically little sketches of their characters that have nothing to do with the plot, which you don't see anymore. There's a wonderful scene in Bullitt where McQueen and his fiancée, Jackie Bissett, just come together to meet at a jazz club in San Francisco with a few friends. And it has nothing whatever to do with the story. There's no dialogue in the scene. McQueen just enters the club. You hear this music, and he just exchanges looks with Jackie Bissett, and you can see and feel how much they care about each other without a word in the scene. And it sort of stops the movie for a couple of minutes. There are many touches like that. Clearly, the chase scene was probably the best of the sound film era. The best chase scenes were done in the silent era by people like Buster Keaton.
Right.
But Bullitt was, for me, a high watermark of what had to be done to do a chase scene in those days.
Was that intimidating for you?
Very. And
because such a great one in French Connection.
Well, when I saw Bullitt, I later did The French Connection about 2 years later with the producer of Bullitt, a man named Phil D'Antoni. And the first thing I said to him is, I've got to top Bullitt, but I can't do the same thing. I can't have a car chasing a car.
Right.
Because that's as good as that could be. And then I thought there were certain other things I might be able to do differently. Like, for Bullitt, they basically cleared out the streets of San Francisco, the hills, and they ran the cars over the hills. I was shooting in New York, so I knew I had to have crowds of people.
Right.
And a lot of auto traffic to move these cars through. But I particularly like Bullitt, Robert, for its portrayal by McQueen of a moral cop, and how naturalistically he played this guy, how believably, with very little dialogue. McQueen could do more with a look. You knew how he felt about a situation from the way he would look or look away than pages of dialogue could convey.
You set it up very well. Let's see the film. Here it is from 1968, picked for us tonight by this month's guest programmer, William Friedkin. Here's Bullitt.